In the last section, we looked at solving equations with adding or subtracting one-step equations. Now we're going to be looking at one-step equations again, but this time solving with multiplying or dividing. So our first one, first two, I guess. Same idea. We're going to be balancing the equation. We're going to be using the inverse operation, the opposite. So if we want to get j all by itself, this is a fraction, but really a fraction is just division. So this is j thirds, j over 3. But that's just j divided by 3. That's what a fraction is. So the opposite of divide, times. Now I'm not going to put times 3 down here because as we make the problems more complicated, that's not really an effective way to show what we're doing. So I'm going to put times 3 over here. And I'll ask you to do the same. If you put it below, I'm not going to count it wrong, but it's going to make your life a lot easier as we make the problems more complicated if you show the work next to it. So j divided by 3, if we do times 3 to both sides, well, let's expand this out. We won't do this every time. The 3's don't just disappear. That's 3 over 1. If I multiply, j times 3 is 3j. Right, I'm multiplying. 3 times 1 is 3. Well, 3 divided by 3. Look at these two 3's right here. 3 divided by 3, well, that's just 1j. Perfect. I've got 1j all by itself. That's the goal. So those 3's don't just disappear, but because we're dividing by 3 and multiplying by 3, it's as if they don't happen. It becomes 1. So we have 1j left over. On the other side, 3 times negative 8, negative 24. Now, I'm not going to go through that whole process every time of showing why it's just 1j. But that's what's going on. That's why the 3's cancel away, so to speak. They don't cancel, they just become 1. Same thing on the bottom here. It's n divided by 6, so I'm going to do times 6 to both sides. And I'm going to get n all by itself, because again, 6 divided by 6 is 1, so I have 1 n left over. 2.8 times 6, I'm not going to set this up. I'm just going to multiply for a minute. We've got 2 times 6 is 12. 8 times 6 is 48. So 12 plus 4.8 really should give me a 16.8. But let's double check that. So 2.8 times 6. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 2 is 12. 13, 14, 15, 16. 16.8. Good, I got it. And there's my answer. N equals 16.8. So look at these ones. So same idea. We've got 9 times y equals 108. The inverse operation, the opposite of times, divide. Now, I'm not going to put the divide symbol like this, simply because there's a faster way and a more effective way to work with this. Just like back here, the fraction bar was the division. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to do divided by 9, divided by 9. We're going to make it into a fraction, essentially. And that's going to be really useful as we move forward. Again, right here, the 9 divided by 9 is just 1y. Perfect, that's all I want, 1y. I don't want any other ones, just 1. 108 divided by 9 is going to give me, well, if I look at 10 divided by 9, that's 1, with 1 remaining, and 18 divided by 9, that's 2. So I'm going to say it's 12. Let's do it the long way just to double check. So you can see what I'm doing in my head, but I'm also going to do it the long way. 9 goes into 10 one time. 1 left over, bring down the 8. 18 divided by 2. 2 times 9 is 18. It worked. But I wanted to show you what I'm doing in my head when I'm doing these problems too. So you can see in my head, so to speak. And the last one here, again, it's negative 6 times v. So we divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6. Again, negative 6 divided by negative 6 is 1. Oops. So I have 1v left over. Perfect. And before I even do division, negative divided by negative is positive. They're the same sign, and we're dividing, so I have a positive answer. Now, if you forget about that decimal for a minute, let's just forget about that. 48 divided by 6 is 8. I know that's true. So now let's put that decimal back in. 4 divided by 6, well, that's going to be less than 1. So 4.8 divided by 6 should be less than 1, 0.8. You could certainly set it up this way as well. 4.8 divided by 6, 0 times 8. We get the same result. But 0.8 is the correct answer. It'd be positive. Positive 0.8. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you, oh, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. I'm going to do these two with you. Then I'm going to have you try some on your own. Whoa, hold on, Mr. Gustafson. Let's try these two as a group first. All right, last two I'm going to do with you, and then I'll have you try some on your own. 5/6 times W equals negative 20. So now we're multiplying with a fraction. Same idea. I want to divide. Now you certainly could do it this way, but that just looks ugly. That's a lot of fractions inside a whole bunch of stuff. So in this case, for our own sanity, it might be a better choice to do divided by 5/6 and write it out this way and not use the fraction bar. It would not be wrong to write it out the other way, but I'm not going to. So let's look over here. 5/6 divided by 5/6. Anything divided by itself is just 1. So I have 1 W left over. Perfect. And then I'm going to move that down a little bit. And then negative 20 divided by 5/6. So that's negative 20 over 1. I remember that when I'm dividing, I can take the reciprocal of the second fraction and multiply. I can do some cross reducing. You don't have to. You could certainly just do negative 20 times 6 is negative 120 divided by 5. But I can reduce first here and say I can divide both of those by 5 and get my answer a little bit faster. But 5 goes into 120 exactly 4 times. And that negative, keep that negative with it. A negative divided by a positive or a negative times a positive is a negative answer. So we've already gone through how to multiply and divide with fractions. So I'm breezing through that kind of quickly. But this new step is how do you solve an equation while working with fractions. Last one here that I'm going to do with you. Again, it's 3/16 times z equals 1/8. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3/16 divided by 3/16. Again, 3/16 divided by 3/16. That's just 1. So I have 1z left over. I noticed that I lost my stuff over here. There we go. Again, I'm going to take the reciprocal and I'm going to multiply. Now I see that I can reduce first. So I'm going to do that. Do divided by 8. Divided by 8. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. So my final answer is going to be that z equals 2/3. Now I'm going to double check. I'm going to look back here. Both of these were positive. Okay, no negatives. I don't have to worry about the negatives. I've got my answer. Z is 2/3. I'd like you to try these 3 on your own. Pause it. Show the work. Practice showing the work. I know some of you are going to look at it and go, well, I know what C is. I know what it is. I can do it in my head. Awesome. Write it down. Practice showing the work because we are going to make the problems more complicated, and I want to see that you can show the work as well. That's what I'm going to look at on your book assignments. I'm going to give it back to you if you haven't shown the work. Make sure that you are showing those steps. I'm assuming you paused it. I'm assuming you tried it on your own. For this one, you should have that 4 equals C. If you said C equals 4, it's not wrong, but try and keep the variable on the same side. Second one, Y equals negative 20. And the last one is K equals 5. If you didn't get those right, one or more of those right, watch the linked video. Take a little bit, pause it, take a couple minutes, and try these 3 on your own. I'm assuming you paused it. I'm assuming you tried it on your own. Again, practice showing the work. First one here, P equals 50. Second one, negative 39 equals Y. And the last one, C equals 56. And again, if you got one or more of those wrong, watch the linked video. See how to do it correctly so that you can get caught up early on in the chapter. This is only the second section. We've got a lot to go. We can make things much more difficult. Get yourself caught up now. Look at those linked videos. Don't wait until later to figure out how to do it. And the last 2, I am going to have you try these on your own. So pause it. If you're stuck, do something. try something. You should be able to multiply or add or do something with those numbers. Even if you get it wrong, practice doing something with those numbers to see what you can get. Okay, I'm assuming you paused it. If you didn't pause it, try it. I'm assuming you paused. I'm assuming you tried it on your own. The first one here is either -5/4, or you could certainly say -1 1/4 equals B. Either one of those are correct. And the last one, J, is going to equal 1. So if you didn't get that, watch the linked video.